Today in the 5-minute saltwater aquarium guide, it's time to kick cyano, or those ugly red slimes, out of the reef tank. Give me 5 minutes and I'll show you how. Hey, I'm Ryan, your host of BRStv. In the 5-minute saltwater aquarium guide, this is a clear, simplified, and direct path to setting up that first successful reef tank. Today, if you're watching this, it's probably because you have some funky red slime growing in your tank and you can't seem to get rid of it. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to share what people are saying, what got you here, why I believe that's just straight up wrong, and then give you some legit solutions which will solve this for a vast majority of you. The red slime in your tank could either be cyano or dinos. In this episode, we're focusing on the cyano red slime, which is easier to beat. But the next 5-minute guide is some more challenging dinos. Most of these slimes look pretty similar, and identifying it correctly is valuable for the most advanced approaches or reefers. But if we're being real with each other, correctly identifying bacteria and protozoa are just outside the scope of the first year of owning a fish tank. In general, cyano's red slime that can be stringy or slime that coats surfaces. Dinos often tend to be brown and more snot-like with lots of bubbles. However, cyano is by far the most common, and my advice to new reefers who are having a hard time identifying the difference is just treat it like it's cyano because it's the easiest to treat for, and if that doesn't work, progress on like it's dinos. So today's all about cyano, what I'd refer to as a fairly new concept in cyano control. In the past, almost all of the conversation was related to nutrients like nitrate and phosphate and poor maintenance fueling these slimes, not because there's lots of evidence suggesting that, but more so just because high nutrients sounded plausible. Well, that could be the case, and I do see cyano more often in poorly maintained tanks. I'm going to brave the waters and just say it. I do not believe elevated nitrate or phosphate is a direct cause of cyano, and I have two reasons for saying that. First, I've personally witnessed cyano outbreaks in hundreds of tanks with both high and low nitrate and phosphate levels. Second, maybe more importantly, I can tell you I've never personally seen, nor has anyone I know seen, reducing nitrate or phosphate to be an effective solution for treating or eliminating cyano. If it's not going to be an effective component of the solution, the elevated nutrient debate is really of minimal value. A better way to think of this is good maintenance and a well cared for, stable system that is sometimes associated with a reasonable nitrate or phosphate level as a component of that good maintenance, sometimes is a solution on its own. So less about chasing numbers and more about the overall approach to good maintenance and water quality in our tanks. So that leads us to step one of our approach: get back to the basics, follow that general good maintenance practice that we outlined in this series, and wait it out. Often the issue will just go away on its own. Good maintenance in this case, primarily keeping the rock surfaces clean, as well as reasonable feeding habits, but also means keeping that skimmer running optimally and doing your water changes. This is a good time to test nitrate and phosphate and make sure they're not off the charts. If the nitrate and phosphate are off the chart, there are a dozen reasons why you should fix that, even if it won't solve this issue. This is not a good time to try anything cute like carbon dosing, brand new fuges, or filter media to get the nutrients down. It's a good time for good old-fashioned water changes. Do 3 to 4 30% water changes over the next couple weeks to get them down. If the nitrate and phosphate are absolute zero, that can also cause issues, so I'd start feeding a bit more, reduce filtration like reducing the lighting period on my refugium or what the skimmer collects until you get a reading. Basically anything above absolute zero is enough. The only addition to the system I consider adding is additional power heads at this time, because additional flow is generally just good for the entire tank, eliminates dead spots or even flushes the surface and can solve some of these red slime issues. Waiting it out is obviously a better option. If the slime isn't bothering corals or harming anything, just give it some time and see how your increased approach to maintenance goes. This is where step 2 comes in. If waiting isn't an option or the cyano is actually hurting corals, it's time to up the game. If the cyano outbreak's in still a reasonably controllable phase, I suggest dosing some competing organisms with Microbacter 7, Dr. Tim's Waste Away, Vibrant, or KZ's Cyano Clean, whichever is your favorite brand, but Microbacter 7 and Vibrant being the most popular options that we offer. It's hard to definitively share the exact mechanism, how the heterotrophic bacteria in these products work, but some are believed to outscavenge nutrition, likely outcompete surface area and territory, and some may even be aggressive enough to consume the cyanobacteria. But in any case, most of these have been used to beat cyano effectively for many reefers. When you use these types of competitive bacteria products, you need to understand it took months for the cyano to outcompete the organisms in the tank and become the problem that it is. That means it's going to take a couple months for the bacteria to outcompete the cyano now. I know we'd all like it gone today, but nothing good happens fast in a reef tank, so have some patience, dose as directed on the bottle, and let the bacteria do its work. However, if you have what amounts to a cyano outbreak, which is actively killing corals, you just can't handle looking at it anymore this way, and you just need to solve it today, In this case, I'm going to say either ChemiClean or red slime remover. Both are awesome at removing cyano from the tank. ChemiClean or red slime remover are often treated like a last resort or band-aid for an underlying problem. But if you've already followed step 1 with a good solid maintenance plan for your tank, these types of treatments can be like a reset button that gets things back on track. When used as directed on an otherwise healthy tank, they can remove the cyano in a single or a few doses over a day or two. Well, there's risk to dosing anything to the tank. I would call negative results exceedingly rare. However, like I said, nothing good in the reef tank happens overnight, so don't be surprised if the cyano comes back over time. So I'd probably use both tools with either the ChemiClean or red slime remover to wipe it out temporarily, then one of the products like BRStv to keep it at bay. In this case, I'll also say that ChemiClean and red slime removers are also really solid diagnostic tools for new reefers as well. If neither ChemiClean or red slime remover result in major progress, I'd say there's a very strong likelihood that what you're dealing with is dinos, and it's probably time to move on to a much more aggressive approach. So that's our next episode. So you have dinos, what do? They can be tough to beat, but with the right approach, conquering these types of things is what makes reefing a hobby and so cool. The entire 5-minute guide to saltwater aquariums is always available here, but if you want to know what dinos are and how to beat them, this is it.